Welcome, y'all. We're going to get started now. If you haven't gotten a chance to check out this week's Cyber Challenge of the Week, it will still be up and available. If you go to hackucf.org/challenges, it'll be the today's date Cyber Challenge. You can also find that by going to the website and navigating through our write-ups. But continuing on from there. Want to go ahead and ask that if you haven't signed in already, please go ahead and sign in now. This is kind of important if you ever plan to run for an executive position, or you want to maintain your ability to vote either in budgets or for our elected officials. This is cumulative from fall and spring, so you need to maintain your active student status as well as being a dues paid member. So I'm going to give everyone just a short amount of time to grab this QR code and get signed in. Is it opened up?
Yes, you have to stop sharing sound.
You're right. Thank you. For those at home, I apologize for the lack of sound to you. We're just going to take a quick moment to sign in. Please do so. Yep. All right, anyone still need a slide, or we get to push? I love that lag. Nope. All right, cool. Moving on. Addison, you are monitoring chat. Cool. All right, so today's topics, we're gonna go over some announcements. We got previous week's Cyber Challenge solution with Oreo Meister. We got current events with Sachin. We got Where Are They Now featuring Peyton Duncan, a recent graduate. We got Tool Time going over Splunk Cloud with Mohammed. And our main event is application security with Synopsys. And they're going to tell you a little bit about getting started in industry. Then we're going to go over some closing stuff and get you all out of here. So these are announcements. Let's jump right into these. So the UCS C3 team, CTF team is actively recruiting at all times. If you have an interest in competing either this semester or next semester, maybe even next year, and you want to get started now, this is your opportunity. You need to follow this link, or you can take the QR code here. That'll lead you to a sign-up form, interest form that will let our liaison, Dr. Tom Neterost, know that you want to be considered for that position. Super cool, all kinds of different CTFs, really great experiences. I know that we're coming out of some rough social distancing kind of procedures, but we are looking for that to not be the case next semester and the following year. So lots of travel opportunities, sometimes as far north as New York, actually oftentimes all the way to New York, and in other occasions across to other parts of the country, and who knows, maybe even some international travel. But if you are interested, go ahead and take a moment to grab that. And if you don't get it now and you want it later, just hit us up Discord or reach out. Cool. The National Cyber League. So NCL, we've been pitching this for a long time, guys. All the way from the beginning of the semester, we've been telling you about how great of an opportunity this is. And the team game started today. So if you're competing, good luck to you all. And if you're not competing, better luck next year. The NCAE C2 games. So this is something we're closely following. We have yet to get any more announcements or news from them. It is still pending, and they are waiting on signups to foster whether or not they're going to be actually hosting the competition this year. So if this is something that you want to do, this is another very, very, very beginner-friendly competition. This is the first time this is going on, and it's supposed to be pretty cool. So if you don't do a lot of CTFing, mostly because you don't really know where to start, or you don't know if you're going to do well, or you've done some CTFing before and it's been kind of difficult, and you're trying to get a way to just like cut your teeth and get in there, this is a fantastic opportunity. Go ahead, grab the QR code, go to c2games.org, sign up. It is free. It's open to all students. The only thing you need is your nice email account, and it's going to be a good time. So hopefully we can get enough people interested to help get this off the ground. NSA Codebreakers. Matt, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so NSA Codebreakers is a really cool competition. It covers a lot of things such as reverse engineering, Docker forensics, network forensics, registry analysis, much other cool things. The basically difficulty range, the first couple challenges are pretty easy if you haven't ever done a CTF before. It's perfectly doable. However, the difficulty does ramp up eventually, and once you get to the solo challenges, it gets quite difficult because you're not able to get any help, and it requires some skills to do it. But I should note that on the slide, it says on the slide, but the top 20 schools get recognized where the NSA will message the president or President Cartwright and list with a list of number of people considered high solvers. So if you finish task 7, you're considered a high solver, and NSA would want to hire you, and then you'll probably get recognized here. First place gets a on-site tour of I guess probably Fort Meade or something, which is the NSA headquarters. Yep. Oh. Oh, all right, then yeah. So I guess they come here, which is probably even cooler. And you get a trophy. Tasks 1 through 6. Task 0 is ignored because it's just simple Discord. But tasks 1 through 6 can be collaborative. So if you ever get stuck, feel free to reach out. And myself, I finished all 6 already. There's a bunch of other people that have too, and we're more than welcome to help you out. So yeah, very cool.
Also, something that didn't get added to the slide because I wasn't aware of it until literally just before the meeting started. If you do solve a challenge, the NSA is now releasing badges that can be downloaded that you can post on either your LinkedIn, you can put on your resume, you can actually show good effort so that you can gain a little bit of an edge when you talk to recruiters, when you talk to associates during interviews and or job interviews for internships, things like that. Fantastic way just to have a talking point in your resume, set yourself out just a little bit apart. Once again, 1 through 6 challenges can be done as a group. So you don't have to do these on your own. You can reach out, you can help, you can get help. And the more points you put on the board, the closer we get to being in the top spot. We're still in the top 20 last time I checked, but we do definitely need to try to maintain that. We were in top 1 spot, we were taking the lead. And then very slowly, we've been slipping down. I think
we're 4th still, actually.
We're 4th still. Okay, good stuff. Is it University of Georgia still?
Georgia Tech is number 1 with nearly 100K points.
Sorry, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is leading. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. You got anything else?
No.
All right. Hack the Box Uni CTF quals. So this is something that we've been blasting out for a little while. Looks like it's going to be a really fun CTF. It is closed for a single team. That team has been recruiting, and it looks like only a few slots remain. So if you have an interest in doing the CTF, that may not necessarily mean that you're actively participating. You could just end up being an alternate for someone else. But your name still goes in the roster. You still do technically participate, and you can still learn a whole lot. And it's likely that if you're taking the time to spend with these people, you're going to pick up quite a bit of information, and you're going to be looked at for doing other CTFs in the future. So if you're looking, once again, if you're looking to get an edge in, you want to have some fun, this is a great competition that's going on, not next weekend, but the weekend following. This is open to all students, and it looks like a pretty good variety of challenges. Web crypto RE is pretty like basic, cloud hardware and SCADA. So doing some real OT stuff. That's pretty awesome. If you want to do this in Discord, just reach out to Sugar or Ratman, and they'll get you hooked up. All right, taking a moment to talk about the design competition. So this opened in the middle of October, and it will continue on for another 20 days. You don't have to be a great artist to make a submission. You just have to follow the rules. The members will decide by vote who wins in each section. There are 3 hoodies, t-shirts, and all of the merchandise that is available. You can find, front and back examples. You can find more information about this at hackUCF.org/shirts. Please submit all final designs in a zip to shirts@hackucf.org. Do not use any copyright or trademark images. They will not be considered for like the contest. And a couple of like points about what like resolution you should be using and like what formats are preferred. So you can go ahead and grab this QR code right now. We are going to launch a Google form real quick. Just everyone jump on real quick and vote for what prizes you want. Historically in the past, we've had some kind of prizes lying around, or there's been some discussion ops about what people wanted, but this year there hasn't been a lot like going on back and forth about like what to give away as a prize in addition to a copy of whatever it is you design. So we've got a couple things up there, and then there's a fill in the blank. So please, please, please take the chance to pick out something that you want to win. As long as it's within budget, we can put it up there.
Oh no.
Thank you, Matt.
I'll spend like a Paint 3D version of like Pac-Man.
Right, you don't have to submit it now. You just gotta vote for what you want to win. It's a. Cool, and moving on. So now we got Matt, who's gonna walk us through last week's Cyber Challenge solution, fun with hashes. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and take it away, Matt.
Oh. So did anyone attempt to do this? It was a rather busy week last week, so I understand, but has anyone do it? No? If you were at the reverse engineering workshop, I know Ratman did Ratman and his sister, but basically solved it. Pretty cool. But anyways, let's get into it. So there was 2 parts. There was a spoiler alert. There was a secret part and the initial one. So the solution to the first one is this string of text, and the other one is, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to be able to solve it after this, or should at least. But yeah, so basically, I had the if you go to this link right here, you can get the binary and then pull it up in Ghidra. This is on the left side. This is main when it's first outputted, and to the right is I fixed it up, right? Because the left side just looks painful to look at, and so I fixed it. Basically, what it's saying is I'm making an input string using calloc, which is basically dynamic memory, and I'm giving it 33 values, so 33 sections of memory. And I'm basically prompting for an input, and I want you to type it in, right? And so I calculate the string length and just some little checks to see if you saw properly inputting the right string. And then I go to some functions, right? And those functions we'll cover in a bit. And then you can see some obvious strings of text, whatever happens, depending on like the value input. So yeah. So what are these functions do? Part 1. So remember how we saw fun is the first thing that's called, right? It's the only parameter is the input we put in, and nothing returns. So what does it do? So I kind of I made it cleaner. Like it obviously doesn't look like this when you first decompile it. And if you do need help with using Ghidra, please feel free to reach out to me or any of the REers like Bratman, Knit and Girl, and so forth. But basically, this function is using this input, right, our input string, and doing some weird stuff to it, right? That looks like a hectic formula. And then this part basically is saying if length is equal to this value, which is 32 in decimal. This is hex, by the way, for those who don't know. And it's doing some other things, right? This is the secret part, like the second part of the challenge that I have not like shown the solution to. But anyways, so you saw how it's calling these things called values, right? Values 1 and 2. Well, what are they? And in memory, it's a global variable. And so it's basically stored above the functions. And so you have to basically go to it and you basically just double click like the values and it'll pull you right to them. And so they're just hex values, right? Unsigned integers, and they're just gonna be used to sanitize the input. So basically this program, you give it a string and it makes a hash. It hashes the string, right? And then fun 2 and 3 are basically checking whether or not the string was properly hashed, right? And so the properly hashed value is 0. So basically the hash function is turning the string input and seeing if it turns every character into 0. And that's the easiest way I could think of to make a hash function. So that's what I did. And this is just checking using bitwise OR. And it's just basically saying if it's all 0, it would just be 0. And does anyone not know how bitwise OR works or any bitwise operations? Yeah. Do you not know? So, all right. So OR, it's like one or the other. So if it has a 1 and a 0, it's going to say 1, right? If it says 1 and 0, it's going to be 0 because they're not both the same. If it says 1 exclusive OR 0 or XOR, it's going to pick if it has either or. It's like, so it's saying it's either or, but not the same. So it's like a mix between or and. So if you say 1 XOR 0, it's going to be 1. But if you say 1 XOR 1, you're going to get 0. It's kind of a weird way to do bit flips. But yeah, so in this function, we're doing a lot of, this is XOR. Then we're doing some bit shifts, which is just basically moving the bits to the left by OX17, which is 23 in hex, but 23 decimal. And we're just subtracting I. So we're basically shifting it 23 minus I to the left. And then we're doing a bitwise complement, which is just flipping the bits. So yeah, after all of this, how do you reverse engineer it and to find out the string that sanitizes it properly? So you make a program, and this is the fun part. So the culmination of all your research you just did, you're able to put it into practice. So I basically, from values, copied this into a string. We call it TMP values because I'm going to fix it later. And so I'm converting this. This is a function that just converts this into a more usable thing. It's basically jumping 4 indices and just reversing it because the way data is stored in memory is little endian order. So the most significant bit is stored at the very end. So it just flips it. So I'm basically unflipping it so I'm able to use it. And then if you remember in Fun 1, see this little mess of a code? This is what I'm going to try to reverse. So in here, this is what I have, right? So we know it wants to be 0, right? So we're saying 0 equals this function, right? And so every bitwise operation is reversible. So bitwise negate is the same thing as XORing it through the integer map. So it's like all the F's and hex value F is just like all ones. This is 32 ones. So that's basically negating it when you XOR it. And so you can just do XOR on both sides and you get rid of that because remember 1 XOR 1 is 0. So you're just basically getting rid of that XOR on the right. And you can do the same thing for this. So you can XOR by values I, which is what we made here. And so we have this. We're saying 0 XOR with this, so it's basically becoming this. XORed by this will give you whatever this is. And so then what you can do is bit shift right, because if you're doing it to the left, you can do it to the right. And then that basically gives you your input. And so this is my fancy function or loop that says from 0 to 24, that's how long the string is. And then we just basically bit shift to the left by 1, or 23 minus I, which is from 0 to 23, right? And we just do the same thing we just did here. And then that will give you, this function just basically converts a byte value to an integer so that you can do some things with it.
So just so that, like, I'm sure that I'm tracking, following along. Basically, you're just doing really basic, like, college algebra.
Yeah, so it's like saying you're dividing by something, you multiply both sides by that divisor, and that's what you're doing with XOR, and the same thing with bit shift. It's like adding rather than subtracting. Basically just doing the inverse operations, which in this is XOR is the same thing. So XOR is the inverse is XOR, and then bit shift left is same, the inverse is bit shift right, and so forth. So yeah, it's just basically simple algebra to basically reverse the function that I made. And so once you do that, you get the initial string that we showed. And so you basically can apply that to the next one, but with a little fun. So it has some seeded RNG. Does anyone know what the problem with seeded random values is? Yeah. Yeah, so seeded RNG or seeded random generators reproduce the same numbers every time. So if you seed something and you think it's random, it's not. It'll just do the same numbers over and over again. And so that's why I did it, so you could get the same values I used. And so that's, if you know how to use that to get the values that the values that I XORed with, you can basically do this exact process with those values. You're good. Does anyone have any questions? I tried to keep it simple. Oh, okay. But yeah, does anyone have any questions? I'm not sure if I explained any of that well enough, but no. Did everyone get what I was saying? Okay, no? What did you not get? I just want to so you understand. Oh, okay. All right then, cool. Try it out for yourself though. Like this is definitely one of the more, I would say, lower mid-level RE problems that you can probably run into. So
it sounds a lot like the most difficult parts of this are just understanding how like a computer works on the lowest level. So
yeah.
The work that you're doing is just like basic math.
Yeah, so all the hardest part is just to understand how to reverse the operations I performed and understand where stuff is stored in memory. So,
fun stuff.
Yep.
And this challenge is still up if you want to take a look at it on our website, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Matt. All right, moving on to current events. We've got current events with Sachin. Cool. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, I'm Sachin. For current events this week, we really had like 4 things that I particularly took note of. The first thing.
I added this one.
Oh, okay.
It's the 5th of November. Just gee whiz stuff. Nighthawks, Rebellion, cool stuff. You should check it out.
Why did I put this in?
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing is that Minecraft cheaters were hit with ransomware. Yeah, I saw you said that. So on Japanese Minecraft forums, some cheaters were trying to share stolen accounts so that, obviously they don't get their actual account banned. One text file was actually ransomware disguised as stolen accounts. So this ransomware would encrypt anything under 2 megabytes. Pretty much everyone here should know how small that is. I have Word documents larger than that. So anything under 2 megabytes would be encrypted. Anything above that would be corrupted by replacing random bits and then encoding it so that you couldn't reverse it. The ransomware would ask for a ransom of 2,000 yen, which is roughly 17.64 USD. But ransom would only be allowed to pay it on Sundays at the hacker's earliest convenience. Ignore that A there. I used that to space it out and I forgot to delete it. But the ransomware was reported to be a variant of chaos ransomware, which is a relatively newer proof of concept where it would basically do that same thing where like it replaces random bytes and encodes it, and then asks for ransom, even though you can't really fix that. It's more of a scam than anything else. The next thing we have is that the US government blacklisted 4 foreign companies for potential national security risks. The first 2, Kanjuro and NSO Group, were Israel-based companies and reportedly involved in spyware attacks targeting government employees. The other 2 companies, one based in Russia and the other one based in Singapore, were both related to spying tools that malicious actors were able to get access to. So that's why they're blacklisted now by the Department of Commerce. The next thing is that also the Biden administration issued a mandate to the federal agencies to fix around 300 or so known exploits that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency knew of that hadn't been patched already. Agencies were given about 6 months, so we'll see how far we get in the next 6 months. And the last thing is that a ransomware group, there's a common theme here with ransomware. A ransomware group recently shut down. They were noticeable for providing essentially ransomware as a service. If someone wanted a ransomware attack, they could ask for a ransomware just to send. And then they'd pay these guys, they'd give them the decoder. So the idea is essentially, now this group is shutting down because of law enforcement. I want to say it's Europol that was chasing them. But yeah, Europol gave a little bit too much pressure, so now they're shutting down. In light of this event, they're offering decryptors to previous customers in case they want to continue to exploit their victims. All right, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Sasha. All right, now we come to our segment where we invite one of our alumni to come speak. This week we've got Peyton Duncan, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear the floor and let Peyton unmute and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, sounds good. I can't really see whoever's in person right now, but I'm assuming there's a few of you, as I've heard a few people through Daniel, and otherwise there's a bunch of people sitting next to Daniel getting really cozy. So I graduated in spring of 2021, so I just graduated this last spring, but I've been with Palo Alto Networks since last spring. So I'm now 14 months, no, May, it's November. Yeah, so 18 months into this position, I think. I'm a security automation engineer here at the Palo Alto Networks Global Security Operations Centers. There's right now 2 of us who are the primary security automation engineers for the entire company. Our job is to secure Palo Alto Networks infrastructure and the infrastructure that supports our customers. So the big point there being that a normal SOC may have alerts that come in through their SIM, so they may be able to see malicious action within their environment. What we're able to do is handle a much larger load of these events and signals, and then use automated processes in order to try and alleviate stress on our analysts. So a team of 10 to 15 analysts can now handle the workload of, say, 40 to 50 analysts. All of this based upon using Cortex XSOAR, which is a Palo Alto Networks product. Prior to that, I worked with Amadeus in downtown Orlando across from the Amway Center. And before that, I was working with IBM's managed security, interning with their principal architect. So a little bit of travel there. So working in Atlanta, working in Orlando during the school year. And then I was working in Orlando for Palo Alto Networks until July or June. And then in June, I moved out here to Denver, and I'm right now in Denver, Colorado. In terms of certifications, as you see, PCSAE, which is the Palo Alto Networks Certified Security Automation Engineer, which is the fancy cert they called it. I'm also the current organizer of Sunshine CTF at B-Sides Orlando. Some of you guys may have saw that in the last few months. And then there will be a new event coming in the next few months here in the future, in the spring. Other than that, I'm speaking at Palo Alto Networks Ignite here in 2 weeks. So there will be a few showings of that presentation for 3 regions around the globe. I think you can sign up right now. I'll see if I can find that link. Other than that, I competed on most of our competitive teams while I was at UCF. I was the vice president at UCF for a year. What else? I'm a dog enthusiast. I really like dogs. I don't have a dog yet, but I'm looking to get a dog. But I'll show you. Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, so does anyone in the audience or in chat have a question for Peyton? If you aren't familiar, you didn't quite catch that, works for Palo Alto, major provider of firewalls and other security services, major brands in industry. Yeah, what's up, Matt?
You get free Palo Alto firewalls?
So the question, if you didn't catch that, is can we get us some free Palo licenses?
I think the technical thing is that you would have to join the there's like an education group we talked about in the past, but I don't have access to free firewalls. If you want to, you can get free XSOAR. If you go online, you can get a free demo instance of XSOAR. So that's fun. I know a lot of people that use that around their house. It's a little bit overkill, but it'd be a fun tool.
Cool, free XSOAR, that's awesome.
Yep.
And Palo educator stuff, we'll have to take another look at that.
Yep.
I know we've got working through Splunk similarly, so if we can get that too.
And then also probably a good thing to point out, since we brought up firewalls, this is something that's not very well known about Palo Alto Networks unless you are going at them from the sales route. They're built into 3 separate groupings of products. So one of them being, oh God, I keep on forgetting the name of this one. Strata. Strata is the Palo Alto Networks firewalls, Panorama, network-based stuff like that. There's Prisma, which is all of our cloud offerings, Prisma Cloud, I believe Prisma Cloud Compute, Bridge Crew, a lot of that stuff's in there. And then Cortex, which is our operations and AI focus. So Cortex XDR, which is our EDR antivirus product, and Cortex XSOAR primarily. So there's a lot of products there, which just goes to show like Palo Alto Networks makes their money not off of just firewalls, but like a wider suite of security products. It just happens to be that we're known for firewalls.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cortex EDR is, XDR is really, really impressive. Haven't got a chance to play around with it, but just like reading up on it, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to know anything about working for Palo or working in industry, or like what path Peyton took to get to where she's at? Yeah. What's up? So Peyton, if you didn't hear the question, it was you while you were at UCF that really set you apart from the pack to get noticed by Palo Alto and or IBM.
Yep. So specifically for that was the competition teams. IBM was directly through the competition teams, and Palo Alto Networks, they grabbed my resume from National CCBC, I want to say. But those are the primary things. However, they do openly recruit from outside of those groups as well. It just happened to be that was how I got in there. Specifically with Palo, the recruiter noticed my resume, had seen that I applied for a position before, and was basically like, hold up, I have a better idea. It was like, I'm going to put your resume over in this pile for this automation position. And that's where that came from. So work with your recruiters and ask them like, hey, I may be applying for XYZ position, but is there ADC position over there that may be better or better suited for me, or, you know, that I might be more interesting.
So question on my mind, I don't know if anyone else kind of caught that yet, but you said working with the recruiters to try to get your resume to where it needs to go. How does one get like in touch with a recruiter or get to know recruiters if they don't already know them? For a lot of people, they're just like firing off resumes blindly into the void, hoping that something sticks.
Check out LinkedIn. So check out LinkedIn. And if you're at any events, try and get the email address for some of these recruiters. Generally speaking, a lot of them will reply to emails, some faster than others. However, that is a really good way to set yourself apart, because if you put your resume into the black hole of internet websites, like if you start putting in your resume to like random job websites, it's not nearly as effective as knowing the actual recruiter, because the actual recruiter might know your face and you aren't just like another row in his report that he's pulling out of all the resumes that have been, you know, slotted in.
So volunteer to help stand up conferences, go to conferences, talk to people, like take advantage of any face-to-face and or like virtual opportunities you have to get in touch with people that are in industry or are actively recruiting.
Play the LinkedIn game as well.
Like LinkedIn game.
Yep. Go on LinkedIn, connect with everybody that you know. That's a really helpful tip, is try and get that done early. Try and get LinkedIn to match your resume too. Like LinkedIn's a really powerful tool.
Any other questions? Is there anything in chat? Oh, awesome. Got a question? So the question is, how, you said go. How built was your resume before CCDC and or after?
Not very well built. I think I wrote my first resume during CCDC. Like before that, I didn't really have a resume because my previous work had been like minor help desk role and working in a restaurant. So like I didn't really have one before. So I kind of started writing it during CCDC, but like even when I wrote it then, I didn't have any working experience. So it's not like insanely large. Now it's a little bit bigger. My resume is a little bit weird because of just the way that I lay it out. But yeah, not very. Like when a lot of these internships are looking for like initial, like especially early in college applicants, from what I've seen, they aren't looking for you to have like 5 years of experience. Like give them whatever you have that's honest, and they should be understanding that you're like a college freshman, college sophomore, you're still in college. Like you aren't going to come in with like senior level like development experience. It's a little bit of a high expectation.
So even if you don't have a really stacked resume, join the C3 teams as soon as you can, participate and make those connections early.
Yep. And also another good thing is if you have a GitHub account, the way that I like to word it is like make a lot of really bad programs on your GitHub account. Like it's not a matter of having a fancy GitHub account that has, you know, hundreds of followers and hundreds of stars or whatever. Like I don't even have that. As long as you have something and like you're showing that you're putting some effort in, that'd be good. If you look through mine, then you'll see a lot of very like old, horrible code on it that I just leave there because why not?
I think we got time for one more question. Does anyone have anything they want to get?
If nobody has any questions, I also have something that would be probably the most critical lesson that I've learned in the last few months. So something that may come up during classes or may come up during college, which turns out to be incredibly important. Learn how to communicate both verbally and through writing. Learn how to present to different types of audiences. Learn how to write well. Learn how to think through your ideas and write them down on paper. Because I can go say, like, I go to Daniel and I can complain about any problem that I want. Daniel has to somehow figure out how to remember what I said. And B, if Daniel needs to go to his boss and try and, forward on that idea, he may, end up telephoning the idea and getting it different. If I'm able to write out, say, 5 to 10 pages, being like, here's exactly what the problem is, here's some ideas for what I think can solve it, and get that through clearly, that can be passed along, and that knowledge is powerful. That's been probably one of my bigger successes, I'd say, in the last few months, is getting down how to write through an idea and get that into the hands of somebody who can push it along in the correct direction. Written word is very powerful. Being able to present well is also a very good, skill to have. You're going to end up presenting to a lot of different groups on a lot of different sizes. I've seen people with bad presenting skills, and I've seen people with really good presenting skills, and you can guess which one is able to persuade their audience in the stronger manner.
Yeah, fantastic advice, rock solid. I completely agree. Communication is like one of the most important aspects of working in business. You can be the most brilliant, like at what you do, but if you can't translate that to something that you can't solve on your own, Cool. Well, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, Peyton. We really appreciate you coming by. Thank you.
Yep, anytime.
Awesome. And before we get to tool time, I just got to do some a little bit of work real quick. Give some people some firms. All right, awesome. And if you could double check and make sure that they are good to go, Tyson, I appreciate it. Awesome. So next we got Splunk Cloud with Mohammed. One of my favorite tools lately. Yep, good. Yeah, good. Take it away, man. Thank you. Yep, just right there. Laptop box. The one right there at the top. Still pop over. There you go. You got it.
Okay.
It's the hacking stuff that looks like. Here. I gotta give you sorry about the shot. There we go. And there we go.
So hello everybody, I'm Mohammed and I will be presenting Splunk to you today. Before starting that, I would like to present like why is it important to kind of get out of your comfort zone and like, learn and be familiar with a tool like Splunk. So like I'm one of my favorite section of, of this Friday meeting is the tool time, because I feel like it's important for us to, get our, just expand our horizon and understand one more tool. Because if you come up with a challenge or any, cybersecurity or any challenges in general, I think it's important to have these tools and understand that you could use this tool to do this, that tool to do that. And I think Splunk is a good tool to have. So just as for inspiration, I don't know if you guys listen to this podcast. It's called Darknet Diaries. I highly recommend it. And before kind of learning what Splunk was, I had this episode 5. It was a story about a company, a retail company, getting hacked. And when the person was presenting this story, they kind of get told that this company hired an incident response team, and they kind of analyze and assess the situation. And at the time, like I was thinking, how could they do that? How could they come up with data saying that the hacker was able to come up and steal data dating back to 3 or 4 years? And that was kind of what had me thinking. And while learning Splunk, I felt that that's a tool that you can use to do that. That is a tool that you can set different times, different kind of searches to search through the data and kind of like look back on what happened at the hack. So Splunk is a great tool for this, and it has some other skills for it. So it's a tool like for monitoring, searching, analyzing, and visualizing machine generated data. It can capture the data. It can actually capture it, and it can help with indexing and make the data into a visualized and better presentable data. So now I'm gonna kind of demonstrate to you how can you use Splunk with a CTF challenge, hopefully. Let me. Okay. So today I will be going over Cloud Splunk, which is a tool that was like you could use Cloud Splunk to upload data through Splunk. Now I don't have like an infrastructure team that I can go into and I can present with you guys for this, but I did use these logs from this CTF challenge, and I will help you kind of go through and how to answer these. Okay, so for this specific challenge, we were giving these type files. I already downloaded them and I uploaded them to this. This?
It says current.log, auth.log, gaming.log, key message, and Apache.
Yeah, so we will only use the top 2 because I'm not going to do it to a whole challenge, but I will demonstrate Splunk using current.log and auth.log. So we can go ahead and start. So I'm going to start with auth.log. So one of the first question was like, it was what servers did the attackers use to gain access to the system? So I had the idea of, how about looking up failed password, because that's like a evidence that the attacker is trying to get in. So if we look up failed passwords, and this is kind of the search user interface of Splunk. So a bunch of data comes up, and one thing that I noticed here is the SSH kind of the SSH way of communicating to the computers, and I go back here and I see that it's 3 letters, so I'm guessing it is SSH. That is right. Okay, and now we go to the second question, which was what operating system version of the target system. So if you can research more about the difference between auth and current.log, but current.log kind of basically keeps track of of that. So I go to the current.log one I already uploaded, by the way. And just sorry, I forgot to tell you guys how to upload the data. You just kind of go upload and add data here, and waiting for it to load. Then you can upload it from if you have like a .log file or any type of different data to upload for Splunk. So this is the current.log, and so they were looking for the question was what kind of operating system. So I'm guessing is a Linux type of operating system, but I don't know which one yet. So I can start off with Debian. I see no results. I can maybe Mint, probably not Mint. Ubuntu. That's actually the right answer. And I get these different results that they are using Ubuntu, and the specific version is right here. A second. Version there. This one. And the reason I know that is because it starts with 4 and ends with a U3, and this specific one does start with 4 and ends with a U3. So I fix this.
Could you have also found it by clicking something?
Or let's try it out. So you can see it here, sure. And then maybe with U3 too. Nah, this.
Right. Star is the wildfire character.
Oh yes, yeah.
Star.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is the right answer, and
Yeah.
So let's say we didn't have that you create the end. How do you tell the difference between Ubuntu server and Ubuntu 3? Like in terms of
I would.
Is that just like try to open and see which one gets
That I would do that because I'm not that knowledgeable, unfortunately. Like maybe someone else can answer that question, but I'm not with that knowledge.
So for CDS style, obviously, I'm saying the right answer. Unless you're going to get penalized and then the field is reflected. In real world, though, you don't have the opportunity of just like plugging into a machine that already knows the answer. Right? You know what you're doing. If you're doing any kind of like IR, or you're just doing an investigation. Maybe you're building a dashboard. Maybe you're trying to retrieve very specific data. You have these context clues. So you have one advantage, right? You don't have Splunk on systems you don't own typically. So you're either using it on systems you do own or systems that you're pretty familiar with. So you're already going to know what exists and what doesn't. And even if you're not very familiar, you have a bunch of opportunities using features of Splunk and the different types of logs that exist and the fields that exist in the log to kind of narrow down your search. Did a fantastic job of iterating through a couple of different systems, right? You're not going to have many servers, right? You might have a Debian server or an Ubuntu server. Windows is going to be a great place to start too. It's not likely that you're going to have a Mac server. So just kind of narrowing the field down about what's most popular. More often than not, people become red track. But there's so many different ways to solve a challenge. And in real world, what you learn here can be applied, but it's more about learning to think outside the box. And you get familiar. There's also documentation, so you can figure out the format. Absolutely, yeah. Splunk is an incredibly well documented tool, and almost all of it is free and available publicly.
So this just searches for literally failed passwords for all of them. But what we can also do is this kind of like I see like a or, but it's not or. Is like that's the syntax I use for searching. And let me just double check my functions and
The bar is called pipe.
Okay, yeah, that's the search function. My friend was helping me here on the functions, but you can use this function to. Yeah, thank you. So this basically tells that what's following that is going to be like a kind of function, and stats is going to basically display that in statistics here, and it's going to be something like to do with statistics. Count counts how many users, and like it returns the usernames, and then by is like by users, and then after you get that, you sort the count. And so if we press search, it's gonna go through all the different users on the machine. And we can also, one amazing thing with Splunk is that you can visualize data. You can visualize it like through dashboards and stuff. So now I'm going to go and show you how, I'm going to show you how do you make a dashboard out of a search with these functions. Okay. Yeah, so yeah.
It's 6 o'clock.
There you go. I don't know what that was. So now we see all these usernames, and obviously the root had many events linked to it. So I'm guessing that's the account that was compromised. And if I go back and put that here, I got it right. So yeah, sorry, I'm not very like good with Splunk. I'm relatively new, but these are some relative use cases that I have to present to you. So thank you for giving me your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Splunk is one of my favorite tools. So just going to all right, and now our main event tonight, Synopsys, is come to speak to us. They are, I believe, in chat right now. Oh, sorry. One moment. Good call. Thank you all. Oh, okay. Not a problem. Just one moment. All right, so it should be, and I apologize if I get these names wrong, Lionel and Nivedita. Would you please unmute and take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Daniel. This is Nivedita Murthy. I'm a senior security consultant at Synopsys. I'm based out of Boston. And you can call me Nivi. We also have Lionel D'Souza. I'll let him introduce himself. Lionel, do you want to go?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Hey everyone, this is Lionel D'Souza. I am a senior consultant in Synopsys as well. Been here for like almost 6 years now, and working into different aspects of application security. Yeah.
So I'll share my screen. We just have a few slides talking about what services we offer and what do we do over here. We'll just go through that, talk about our experience at Synopsys, how did we get into security, and what do we do on a daily basis. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we can see you crystal clear here.
Okay, all right. Just to give you a background in terms of the numbers, it's a 1.4 billion, profit out there, 400 plus consultants. This is just the SIG group, that is software integrity or software security group out here, with basically security professionals. Synopsys also deals with chip design and EDA software, but this is the security group in there. We are also in Gartner and Forrester, leading out here, basically. These are some of our clients. We have quite a few in commercial banks. We have clients in aerospace and semiconductor companies as well. And these are the services that we provide. I will explain each of them in a little bit more detail in the next few slides, but just to give you an overall, we are focused mainly in application security, but we do also perform network security tests as well, and some red teaming exercises. So just to go a little bit into the details of what is all of this. Now, Synopsys basically founded BSIMM. BSIMM is basically building security in model maturity. And essentially what you do here is you work with organizations and try to understand their security posture, especially in application security, and try and baseline them and compare them to their peers in the industry, in the same domain, and see how do they stand over there. We have had, I think, right now it's around 127 maybe. You can see the latest BSIMM report for the same on the results, but at least 127 companies have gone through this process, provided us details about how do they run their AppSec program and where do they stand. So while the data is anonymized, we do have details based on some metadata that you want to, if you want to find that. Then maturity action plan. If you have to go to the basics of it, it's just a gap analysis where we, again, over here, we don't compare them to other industry folks or people in the same domain, but we just see what is happening in that organization, what can they do to improve on the same, and what is specific to their organization out there. That's what is maturity action plan about. It could be for a DevSecOps program, it could be for a SaaS program, it could be for their OSS program out there. So the scope is limited in this case. Then you have DevSecOps. I'm pretty sure a lot of folks out here have heard of this term quite frequently. DevSecOps essentially is developer security and operation. I actually work in this area. I've been working in this area for quite some time now, and my job is to integrate application security scans in the development SDLC lifecycle and get all of the security operations automated out there. So that's in short of DevSecOps. There are two parts to it, where one, we actually review the whole process and tell what are the gaps out there, where they can improve, what can be done to make this better. The other part is actually doing what you said. So you go and implement the changes that you've recommended out there. And these are the areas that we work on in DevSecOps. You can integrate SaaS, DAS, or IAST, or even a collection of vulnerabilities. You can work with teams on having IDE plugins installed and making sure they know how to run it, and look at the results from there. Or you can integrate penetration testing out here, any of the security assessments out there. And these are some of the areas where we provide our services. Like I mentioned earlier, the maturity action plan, or where you do actually implement it, or you provide some advisory services where they are trying to establish a DevSecOps program, and it's not yet done. So you just provide them a blueprint of sorts on how to get it done, what needs to be included and what should not be included out there. Then we also have cloud security. There's a whole different vertical for the same. DevSecOps is one vertical, cloud security is another vertical, where consultants go and review cloud config, provide their technical expertise on how to secure their cloud instances and what should be their transformation strategy in terms of moving applications to cloud. A lot of these applications are hosted on-prem, and a lot of organizations are trying to move to cloud. So they need help in making sure this transition happens smoothly. At the same time, it happens securely. So this is where our consultants come into picture. Then container security. Container security is something that has come out pretty recently. And what we do is we provide a similar kind of service that we have for infrastructure as a code or in DevSecOps, where we review their config, see whether it's there, and we help set up a program that automatically scans their containers and how to, or rather, how to resolve the vulnerabilities that have come through these assessments and make it much better. Like, what should you keep in mind while setting up containers out there? We also provide training on how to write better code. This training is provided either through ILT, that's just like you have Pluralsight or any of those training sites that you go through, or you can go through custom training. We also provide something like a combination of those, like a champions program, and or you want specifically on some of the Synopsys tools, you can get training on that as well. Then we have threat modeling and architecture risk analysis, wherein this comes at the beginning stages where you're designing your application, where you're setting up your process. That's when you do a threat model to identify all your assets and all the threats involved. And at the design stage itself, what can you do to prevent such issues, prevent vulnerabilities from being introduced? So we provide our expertise over there. Similar in the architecture risk, this is like an ongoing thing. What areas are points of concern? So that's one. Malicious code detection. Now, this is something pretty interesting, at least in my opinion. It's not the same as SAST, or what you call a static application testing, wherein you just go through the code to identify what could be potential points of attack. Here, you're actually looking out for someone who is being malicious and has inserted bad, bad code over there. So that's the point of MCD reviews. And then you have companies take over other companies. So as part of this process, you also need to know what are the inherent risks out here. And that's also part of one of our services, where we provide a complete picture in terms of licensing and AppSec issues that are being inherited as part of acquisitions. And then penetration testing. This is something that all of you know. This is one of our introductory services. So as a new consultant, junior consultant, you would probably be starting in this area where you would perform penetration tests, understand how scanning is done, or understand how vulnerabilities are exploited, and work with our clients for the same. Red teaming, simulate real world attacks and try performing social engineering activities. This team actually likes to do it within the company itself as well. They run some simulations inside the company too, but they hire our consultants to go to their buildings, to their offices and try out these exercises. So, sorry for that. That's my dog just being a bit irritated.
Your dog's definitely welcome here.
Yeah. I think this is one of the last services, mobile application security testing. Now, with the explosion of mobile apps, we also provide a service where we actually test our mobile application. This could be Android or iOS, or it could be a hybrid as well. And we provide a service to test these applications. There's network security testing, where you actually test out networks. So one of my colleagues actually recently tested the Wi-Fi network of one of the banks out here. So that was pretty interesting. Then I believe someone else did and a lot of our clients actually hire us to test out their endpoints. So that is pretty common. And thick client testing. Now, you hear about testing on web applications as such, but no one has thought much about thick client. Thick client testing is completely different from web apps, and it requires special protocols and a different mindset. I personally find it very difficult, even though I've been in this industry for quite some time. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. So, but yeah, we do offer thick client testing out here. And IoT and embedded device security. This is way different. So if you want to, like, I know we had one project where we tested out one of the interfaces on a plane, I believe. And we also had ATMs being tested out, or cars being tested out, the softwares of a car being tested out there as well. Let's see. So we offer internships as well as full-time opportunities as well. And this is the general structure of what we, what is the, what is the intention of an internship program, and what do we provide in terms of training. And we recently had two graduates who went through this, and they went through training for each and every vertical of our that we provide here. But this is about our internship program. It's it looks pretty intensive, but we want to make sure we have adapted based on how the interns have been catching up on this. So based on their strengths and what they find easier to work on, we want to make it as a useful experience as well as and a memorable experience for them. So that's the case. That was about, and how do you come to know about all of this? You can always go to our website and get the details on the internship, and you can always email them. The internship postings will come out by the end of this year on our website as well as on the Handshake portal. And we are posting new opportunities, I believe, every month, even for folks who are new to the field. So you can always check out our website and apply for the same. That was about Synopsys. Before I jump into just talking about myself, does anyone have any questions here?
Well, I have a couple.
Yeah, sure.
At least a couple people in the audience as well, or in chat. So I noticed that you covered a lot of positions, and I noticed that the internships covered quite a good variety of tools. What types of experiences can an intern expect if they came in with an interest in, say, mobile application security, right, or security? Could they follow or shadow those specialists?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So I actually recruited last year's interns, at least for Burlington office. So you have interns coming up for each and every office. And depending on who has put out the posting, they mention in the description, what are they looking for and what is the expectation? What are you going to learn as part of your internship out here? Some postings are very specific to that vertical, but in case if it's for an office like us, we provide training in all areas. And if we see that you're interested in one specific, like you said, mobile application, we help you connect with folks, and despite of we helping you connect, you're basically added to the Slack, and we tell you these are the Slack channels, and you can join whichever vertical you want, the channel for that vertical. So there's one for mobile, there's one for DevSecOps, there's one for network testing, there's one for pen testing. So you can always join. And I would say it's a very collaborative atmosphere out there. You can freely approach anyone and talk to them and ask your questions. You can always just put in your question on Slack channel and just say, hey, I have a doubt in this, about this, can you help me out? Somebody will always help you out. And as part of your internship program, we will make sure you know who are the right contacts as well for each vertical, so that, yeah. And we also have these conference pages which explains who are the points of contact or SMEs in that area who could help you out, who are part of the practice work out there. So that all will be provided as part of your internship.
That's fantastic. Now, maybe on a little bit the other end of the spectrum, maybe someone like, brand new, maybe freshman, sophomore, doesn't really know what they want to specialize in, doesn't really know security. Maybe they want to come into an internship and they want to try out a couple of different things or just get like a more broad experience. Is that available for them too?
Yes. So it starts off initially with a broad experience. Like I mentioned to you, we have a curriculum which covers up each and every domain that or each and every service that we offer. And we start off in each area, and then at the end of the week, we discuss with you how did you find that area? Like, was it a big learning curve? Was it easy? Did you enjoy it? Did you find any challenges out there? And move on to the next one. But if you feel that you want to specialize or you want to focus in this, you are free to do so, and we will accordingly change our assignments. The idea is it should be 50% learning and 50% actual assignments or like actual client work. So you will be shadowing quite a few projects in those areas and working on, depending on the project availability and the people who could help you shadow.
Fantastic.
And also to add to this point, right, like what Nivedita mentioned, I guess like the other factor is we also have like built like test applications for mobile as well as web applications. So the intern will actually go through that. And we have like our mock assignments where we like give them and like go through the pen test, and like we talk with them about the results before we even let them shadow or like put them in the client facing applications or anything like that. So we also have built like those applications so that the interns go through it and like see what they are gonna like get in the future, like when they actually face with the clients. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So what you're saying is that an internship with Synopsys puts you directly into a real world problem and lets you interface with actual clients. So
yes, that's the intention, because it doesn't make sense you keep on learning, because that's what you're doing at the university. You're coming at an internship to learn with real clients and what's happening in the industry. So we want to give you that experience. And as part, like, we don't throw you straight away in the fire, but we slowly, gradually push you towards that. You start out, the first week is learning, like Lionel mentioned, there are labs out there which we make you go through. And at the end of the lab, you're supposed to provide a report, which is presented to your colleagues. And it's like a mock session where the colleagues act like your clients, and they will ask real-time, like, live questions out there, like how they have faced the same question that they have faced in real assessments, and then they'll put it up to you. And then they'll try to grill you. Consider it's like, you're being pretty much, you're being grilled pretty badly, but don't feel bad about it, because after that, they become your best friends and tell you how you could improve in presenting your report or how you could have done better, because this is a learning experience and you want to make sure you learn through this process.
Yeah, definitely, it sounds very rigorous.
In
the audience, anyone want to ask a specific question? Yeah, what's up? So the question was, what are the top skills and or facets that you look for in prospective internship candidates?
So one thing that we look for is, your dedication to learn. And that is pretty obvious when we start interviewing you. We do look at your educational background and try to ask questions related to it. And if you try to give us, and this is based on my experience, I don't know, Lionel can answer separately, but if you try to give us bookish answers, it can get, it tends to be, it looks like you've not learned it to learn the foundations of it. So we are looking at people who know the foundations. You may not know the actual script, but we know, like, if you can prove it to us, if you can show us that you are, very interested in learning, and whatever opportunities you've got till now, you've tried your level best to learn through that, then you're good to go. It's hard to define how we select our candidates if you're looking out for that.
So just
yeah, I would.
A lot of the technologies and products that you listed and what your candidates will be learning. I saw Burp Suite. I saw DAST. I saw Nmap and OWASP application.
Right.
So if an applicant is already familiar with some or most of those technologies, does that put them ahead of the curve, or are they still expected to know some other things too?
It definitely puts them ahead of the curve, that because it seems they know. We test their knowledge. If they say they know it, we'll start testing them. But then they also get a chance to work on other tools as well, because our clients could work on different tools. Hold on.
Yeah, just to add to that point, right? Like, I mean, Burp Suite is like a bread and butter for us. So like, be it like mobile testing or like thick client or even like web services, we do use like Burp. So that's always an added advantage. But yeah, I think like what we also look for is how a candidate, I think like the majority of the part here is to like think from an attacker's perspective and like how you could like go about with the application. And again, this is just from a web application or thick clients. I mean, they have like different services as a consultant matures, he would get access to. But like, I feel like from an internship perspective is one, thinking from an attacker's perspective, as well as like familiarity with any tools would definitely be like an added advantage.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Is there another question? Someone else want to jump in here?
All right. So what we can do is like, we can tell you about our experience at Synopsys. What do we do every day, and how did we get into security? And then maybe you would have some additional questions about the same. I'll go first. I got inspired to join security through sitcoms. In case anyone here knows the series called Numbers. It's about a mathematician who solves daily crimes using maths, basically, for his FBI brother. But that somehow got me involved into security, and Die Hard 5. That was the other one. And I was very interested in it. I studied, my background is basically, I did my undergrad in IT and my postgrad in comp science. I didn't do any certification or such when I joined in like a security project. I just had done my undergrad, but I somehow I showed interest in any of the security activities that were happening in my organization. I was previously working for another company and became part of like the security awareness group or the security champions program, or just interacted with the teams out there. And that's how my managers came to know my interest in that and gave me an opportunity to join a project which worked with one of our clients. I worked with them for quite a few years, 7 years, and like worked in all areas: AppSec, incident response, network security, we didn't do physical security, supplier security, and I worked my way up. Then joined Synopsys, Cigital, which got acquired by Synopsys. I started off with a SaaS program where we were running a vulnerability management program for the client and working with developers on a daily basis, where we reviewed their vulnerabilities, helped them out understand it and how to fix them out. Actually went to the code level. And I didn't know a lot of coding. I basically Googled a lot, learned about the code, and figured out, okay, this is how I have to write better code or secure code, and provided the same training to the developers. From there, I moved on to other projects and slowly transitioned into DevSecOps. Again, I did not know a thing about it, but then I underwent training at Synopsys and I shadowed people who were working in the same project, and then finally took on my own project, and I've been there for 3 years now. So it's a whole DevSecOps implementation. Yeah, that's about me, my security journey out here. Lionel, do you want to talk about yourself? for 2 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah, actually, I have a pretty interesting story. So actually, I was helping my friend complete his final year project in undergrad, and that project was based out of like IDS based firewall, like using IP tables and Snort. And I guess like while helping him and complete his project, I was able to like really get interested in this project. So I mean, after that, I was looking for like more of like jobs around that area. So I did like CCNA and the Cisco certified. So a couple of certifications actually, CCNA and CCNP, and actually got into an AppSec firm in India. So I was a security analyst, like trying to build like SIM rules like Splunk and ArcSight. So I was working there for 6 months, again, building rules for incident response and like log analysis. And then I was lucky enough to be moved into the AppSec part of it, like within 6 months. And this is where I was introduced to the world of like pen testing. And we used to just run like dynamic analysis tools on application and like just triage those results. But I really like the concept like of like breaking things. I mean, I spent like a lot of time reading and like practicing labs. Like OWASP was like a Bible for me because it has like so much information about AppSec. They also have a test application called WebGoat. So if you guys have like time, you should actually try it out and play around with it. But yeah, I mean, there are other applications like DVWA and like damn vulnerable web applications. So definitely try it out. And apart from that, I think like another book called as Web Applications Hackers Handbook. I think this is one of the important books to like clear like any web application security concepts. But yeah, I mean, so I think after that, like I thought like I'll pursue my master's in cybersecurity. So during the first semester, we had a couple of people from Cigital. I mean, we were called Cigital back then before we got acquired by Synopsys. So Gary McGraw was also a part of it. So he's like a security leader in software security. So his presentation on like software security and breaking code was like really interesting to me. And me, who always wanted to get into pen testing and AppSec, thought like this was a good opportunity for me. So like, let me apply. The program was really interesting for me because like I had like a lot of seniors around. But again, right, like we had like a very defined training. So we were like made to like go through a sample application that was developed by Synopsys called as Bank of Insecurities. And like we had to go through that, like come up with like bugs and like security flaws and things of that sort. And then we were like made to shadow different consultants who were actually working for different clients. And yeah, I mean, I still remember my first vulnerability. I think it was like some sort of like privilege escalation. And I was like literally like hopping from one desk to other, like talking about this finding. But yeah, I think that's how I started my journey in Cigital Synopsys, web pen testing, and then slowly moving forward like into mobile part of it. So after 8 months, I think I moved towards like mobile part of it. So working on iOS and Android, and it's kind of like same as web application. It's just that you have a client. So the mobile app itself is a client, figuring out like how the keys are stored and like how the crypto works, how the data is stored in the mobile application. But the API part is still the same. And then moved into Thick Client like after 8 months. So I've been trying like different services within Synopsys. So like did Thick Client, and then I'm currently working on threat modeling and architecture review. So again, right, like one of the benefits of consulting is like you get to like work into different environments. So like, let's say if I'm threat modeling something like a cloud-based environment, maybe like down the line a month, I get to work with another client who has like on-prem environment. And I'm still working on a client who is actually asking us to like pen test, sorry, not pen test, but threat model a mainframe. So like we get like variety, like different sort of varieties to work with. So that is really interesting. But yeah, I think that's all about my journey into AppSec and different areas within AppSec. But yeah, do let us know if you have any questions, and we're happy to answer.
Thank you both for sharing your stories. That's wild. let's go back to the audience, and anyone have any specific questions they wanted to ask out of our speakers tonight? Yeah. I think y'all pretty much covered it. Yeah, everyone's pretty satisfied. I just want to go over a couple of things before we get out of here. The open call for resumes and internships is going on, I believe you said until the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, they'll be posting it by end of the year. Full-time opportunities are available around the year. There will be more on the way. Internship opportunities should be presented by, I think, at least end of the month or by end of the year for sure. It should come up on our website as well as Handshake. Do you use Handshake for looking up a job? So yeah, if you you follow us on Handshake as well, you will get notified when a new posting is put up there.
And if one of our members submits early next year, is it spring? Will they do by summer?
Yeah, so it happens, I believe this is a summer internship. It starts somewhere July or somewhere, yeah, I forgot, July or August.
May.
And May, is it May? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
May till July end or something of that sort. 3 months, yeah, it's 3 months paid internship.
For our full-time applicants, they could submit at any time?
Yeah, for full-time, you can submit. If there's an open position, you can submit at any time. But I feel you can apply through that, or if you don't see an open position, you can always connect to with any of us on LinkedIn, and we can send an internal referral. That's how a lot of candidates go through, not just in Synopsys, but in the industry in general. If you are a new, inexperienced person who's trying to get into security, the best way is to connect with people on LinkedIn and ask for an internal reference, because it works both ways. If you get hired, they get paid. So it's like, win-win situation for both. So.
Awesome. That's a fantastic thing to point out too. Just to reiterate that, connecting through LinkedIn oftentimes gets the employee that refers you to a successful hire some kind of a bonus or a kickback. So don't feel afraid to reach out to people. They want to help you just as much as you want them to help get you into your first company. Awesome. Yeah. And one last thing for both our interns and our full-time hires potentially, is there any specific position that that you're currently looking to fill, or maybe like a deficit that will have a higher likelihood of acceptance over another?
We are always looking out for experienced resources, but that's not your area. If I remember correctly, there are at least 5 open positions for new joinees. So that's our associate consultant. That's the first position out there in Synopsys. We're just looking out for people with the skill set in AppSec. That's our focus. So we would look out for people who have experience, not experience, but and we look when we're hiring full time, it's generally post graduates. We don't hire undergrads regularly. That's because they don't have the full set of skill sets that we look out for in to provide services to our clients. So we generally look out for graduates. But if you are an undergrad and you had a few internships under your belt, then we would definitely consider your resume.
Awesome, thank you. I think there was one more thing that I wanted to ask real quick before we ended up.
I actually wanted to mention something based on the earlier discussion that was happening before our presentation. I knew, I think Peyton was asked this question, how do you connect? How do you network out there? Apart from LinkedIn, apart from conferences, you can also join your local meetup. I believe your university is in Orlando, or correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe it's Miami. but you have local meetups that are running regularly, especially with security. I myself, I'm one of the organizers for Boston Security Meetup, and we have a meetup every month. During the pandemic, we had it on Zoom. So look out for local meetups and connect with people, because through that you will get invited to the Slack channels. Most of the security meetups have a Slack channel or a Discord group out there, and join the conversation, talk about it. And that's how people know about you and can refer you to your next opportunity, be it your first opportunity or your second opportunity or your third opportunity. But that's how you network out there.
Yeah, fantastic advice. And the one thing I was going to ask you was the internships and or like full-time hire positions, are they, because the whole COVID thing, social distancing, are these going to be positions, or in-person positions? Can people be expected to go across the states once again for an internship at another location?
So as of now, the internship positions are remote. We actually had like the first, when COVID hit, that was our first remote internship position. And we had a student from University of Central Florida, he said. Yeah, he's from University of Central Florida. So he did the entire internship remotely. Even this time we had a student from Alabama. He and attended it remotely. So next year, as of now, it is fully remote, and we will be shipping the Synopsys laptop and required accessories, and you can do all of this remotely. And we've learned through the past 2 internships what are the challenges while running our internship remotely. So we are improving on that, but feedback is always welcome. In terms of full-time opportunities, now, because this is consulting, it varies. It also is very flexible in that sense. You can either work remotely, or depending on the client's requirement, they may ask you to come to their office and start working. But right now, just about everyone is working remotely. There are only few clients who have asked our associates to come and start working in their office. But like I would say 99% is remote right now.
Thank you, thank you, Lionel, and thank you both for coming here from Synopsys. We really appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything we want to cover before we wrap this up?
No.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you.
Yep. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Just screen share back. All right, so a couple of things before we get out of here. Operations, if you want to help plan meetings, you want to come put something together, you want to teach a workshop, or you just want to get up here and talk about something you're really into. We meet Thursdays at 8 p.m. in a cyber lab. You can join remote. That's https://hackUCF.org/ops-zoom. You can join that, or you can show up in person. You're more than welcome to. All right. Projects. Does Infra have anything to share? All right. My entire web dev crew is missing, so we're going to go with no. And I have nothing other than, if you want to make pretty things, join Design Crew. All right. If you haven't joined the mailing list, join the mailing list. If you haven't checked out our shop, go buy something. If you haven't joined the Discord, come on, join the Discord. And finally, we're on Twitter. You can check us out there too. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate you. Y'all have a great weekend and stay safe.
Is it better to sleep it or shut down the laptop?